After a very dramatic opening round of the season for the European Le Mans Series, last time out at Barcelona, which saw for only the second time an overall victory for an LMP2 Pro-Am team, we head to the south of France for this annual visit to the Le Castellet Circuit Paul Ricard, for the 4 hours of Le Castellet. The race takes place tomorrow at midday, but before that, qualifying must first be deciding the grid for tomorrow's race. And remember, 4 different categories to feast our eyes upon, starting as always with the GT category. Thank you for your patience. We're running slightly behind the schedule because of various events in the Michelin Le Mans Cup qualifying. But Johnny Palmer and Graham Goodwin to take you through things from our commentary position. Steph Wentworth in pit lane. Welcome back to the ELMS, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be back here at Paul Ricard. Welcome back to the ELMS too, to the first driver out on track in the number 60 Proton competition Porsche. It's the very recently retired and even more recently unretired Christian Ried. We'll explain that as we get into the session, replacing Claudio Schiavone in the number 60 car. Claudio Mertz is back during testing earlier this week. If you're listening and watching Claudio, hope you're feeling comfortable. Back pain, no joke, and we hope to see you back as soon as possible. So Christian Ried is out in the number 60 car. It is the bronze drivers aboard the 13 LMP2 cars. United Autosport's 23 McLaren is in the hands of Michael Birch. Castellet Toledo aboard the 50 Richard Mille AF Corsa Ferrari, the blue and white car. 51 from AF Corsa, Charles-Henri Samani, the chrome Breton flagged car. Duncan Cameron, it is regular number 55 British Racing green and white Spirit of Race Ferrari. Kessel Racing's 57 Takeshi Kimura, hot-footing it across the Ligier European Series paddock after taking part in those races today. He's in the 57 bright yellow Kessel car. Racing Spirit Le Mans and their 59 Aston Martin Clément Mathieu. Chris Ried, as we say, in the orange and black 60 Porsche. Ironlinks' 63 Mercedes-AMG. Martin Berry, our pole sitter from last time out, in the gunmetal grey and yellow AMG GT3. JMW Motorsports red Ferrari 66, and Scott Noble. Andrew Gilbert in the grey and orange Kessel Racing Ferrari, and TS Sports now all silver, and boy it looked great. Corvettes in the hands of Hiroshi Kazumi. Celia Martin in the Iron Dames 85 Porsche, and GR Racing's 86, the black and orange Ferrari in the hands of Mike Wainwright. That's the field. They are the men and women doing battle right now. That's filled the first couple of minutes of this session while they all get up to speed, and from here on in, Johnny, we should see lap time after lap time improving and improving. In comes Christian Ried.
You're right about the men and women taking part in this session. It was all about the women in Barcelona, because Iron Dames coming home with a victory, despite Michelle Gatting being under stern pressure. A stint long, really, from Daniel Serra, but she did not crumple under that pressure and came home with a victory to score well for the 85 crew, with no Daniel Serra here this weekend. In fact, James Collado filling his space in the 57 Kessel Racing crew. Remember about the success ballast as well, depending on where the cars are in the championship and where they finish previous races. 30 kilos will be in the passenger seat for the 85 Porsche, 20 kilos for that 57 Kessel Racing Ferrari, and it's 10 extra kilos for the number 60 Porsche, carried in qualifying and in the race. So if those cars that look strong in Catalonia 4 weeks ago aren't necessarily there today, that might be some answer to it.
Indeed. Just leaving the pit lane, the red and yellow JMW car. Great colour scheme on that car this year, the 66 car. As we take a look down the Mistral Straight, here comes Racing Spirit Le Mans Aston Martin, burbling through Seat Corner at speed. The wider grille of the 2024 spec Aston Martin. A deeper grille rather than wider. 11 minutes to go, and we're about to see the first of these cars setting a rapid lap time, though we do expect them to come down. Delighted to say, by the way, I've just seen on one of our other monitors that Claudio Schiavone is here still.
Oh, good.
So good to see that he's here behind the efforts.
Now, in Barcelona, I think we did remind ourselves on the Sunday that it was actually a double pole weekend for Mercedes, because the motor part Mercedes in the Michelin Le Mans Cup took pole in that championship, and the 63 Iron Lynx Mercedes in this championship took pole. Now, if we use that system, it's a Ferrari on pole in the Le Mans Cup this weekend. Does that mean that it might be a Ferrari, might be a Kessel Racing Ferrari on pole in this? I suppose there's more comparison that we can do these days, because they're both GT3 derived categories, aren't they?
Spec. I mean, there's some minor differences, but
well, obviously the torque sensors, but from a balance of performance perspective,
and then beyond that, then what we've got is the development of the talent of these bronze-ranked drivers that are now fulfilling qualifying duties in both those classes. And it was great to see Martin Berry scoring that pole position at Barcelona. He will, by the way, be making his debut next weekend in the FIA World Endurance Championship with Iron Lynx, replacing, checks notes, Christian Reed, who's retired and then unretired.
Yeah, and it really depends what mode he's in when we go from one race meeting to the next.
He's
frankly
a crazy sort of guy.
There seem to be no rules, considering where Christian Reed sits, and well, hey, we'll have him back for a number of years. Yeah,
it's Tom Jones levels of retirement and unretirement.
Castellet Toledo is in the number 50 Ferrari and going very well on this particular lap. So in the Richard Mille AF entered car, trying to get a little quicker than Clement Mateur's effort in the Racing Spirit of Le Mans Aston Martin. Those were their first flying lap, so we were at 205.4, 206.6, but remember, no tyre warmers are legal in this championship now, just like the World Endurance Championship, so it does take a few laps to turn the tyres on.
Do like the look of this blue and white Ferrari. Nice colour scheme, suits the car well. Comes across the line, the number 50. And no improvements, sorry, there is an improvement, but no change in position. Still a second off Clement Mateur's Racing Spirit Le Mans early effort in the 59 car. And he's just improved as well. So 205.004. What can Duncan Cameron do about this? He goes second. So spirited first effort for Spirit of Race. Pretty much across the board improvements as we expect through these sessions. Still to set times, Christian Reed, Martin Berry, Scott Noble. Principally that's because these are cars that came in to change tyres. Swapping in tyres for the race, I'm sure.
In the background you can hear the flat six of the Iron Dames Porsche. Cecilia Martin once again on qualifying duties, as she always has to be in these particular sessions. We don't have to worry about hyperpole or anything complicated like that. It is purely done on this single 15-minute session.
Now that would have been good enough for second place for Cecilia Martin, but track limits in the final sector means drops all the way back down again, I'm afraid. Martin Berry pops up, he's now second, under half a second back from Clement Mathieu, and working his way through, but he loses the lap to track limits. So speed and discipline, order of the day. So Berry though follows up with a purple sector in sector one the next time around. Lesson learned, one would think. 6.5 minutes remain. Aston Martin on provisional pole, ahead of two Ferraris, then the Corvette of Hiroshi Koizumi. But it was time to find here, no doubt at all about that. Remember, this is the first of 4 qualifying sessions. So stick with us for the next, 90 minutes or so?
Yeah, with the little bits in between where we're switching cars from one category to the other, but they will hopefully give an opportunity to Steph Wentworth to chat to drivers who are in pole position. So Clement Mateur pits, and that is to limit the amount of tyre wear on these racing tyres. Remember, tyres that are, well, actually not restricted in this particular category. They will become so in LMP2 once we get there. In this GTs in ELMS, you can keep chucking Goodyear Eagles at the cars, particularly in tomorrow's race, but only when you're making a stop, of course.
Martin Berry on a quick lap here, also on a quick lap. Duncan Cameron closes the gap just marginally, stays second. But Martin Berry got enough here as he's in behind Christian Reed to improve his time.
So
Goes top by 5 thousandths of a second.
Incredible. But we haven't yet seen the back of Clement Moteur. All he was doing was stopping for a new set of Goodyears, and the same goes for Custodia Toledo. So with tyres not restricted, you can afford to burn through another set should you wish. But yeah, Martin Berry on course here for back-to-back pole positions.
Duncan Cameron on a quick lap as well. He's up on Berry's provisional pole time after Sector 1. In fact, it's a purple Sector 1 for Duncan Cameron. I think Martin Berry has lifted off a bit in Sector 1 here, so he's getting a little too close to Christian Reed. So it looks to me like he's trying to giving himself space to have another crack at this. It's another purple sector for Duncan Cameron in Sector 2. He's a 10th up on the provisional pole time. Milou Wadou, part of the number 50 crew.
So 5 thousandths of a second might be about to become a much more healthy 1/10th of a second in the favour of this car, the 55 green and white Ferrari of Duncan Cameron, just heading through the right-hander now at Garlaban.
Just needs to be keep it steady, keep it quick. The car guy Ferrari ahead is not a threat in terms of holding up Duncan. The threat here is his self-discipline and his opportunity to exercise the pace he's undoubtedly got. And what happens here? He goes second because Martin Berry has lost the lap.
Yes. Yes, that time that was 5 thousandths of a second quicker than Clement Moteur has been deleted.
And Duncan Cameron does not improve. It was not a good enough third sector. So Clement Moteur remains on provisional pole position, 3.5 minutes to go. And Martin Berry, from being top of the shop, does not currently have a lap time registered. I think he's going to get one go at this.
3 minutes and almost 15 seconds still to go. Clement Moteur on a new set of tyres. If the Mercedes had planned to stop for tyres, they might have to abort that now.
They did. They stopped early.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
did he do a time on the initial set of tyres, or was that just to scrub some race
I think
tyres in?
it's just scrub race tyres in. It's too late now to change. He's got to go for it with what he's got.
Yeah.
And this now, on this lap, is going to cramp Duncan Cameron's style because he's caught Takeshi Kimura. And whilst there might be a bit of an advantage on the Mistral straight, it's certainly, with the pace that Duncan's got, not going to be a positive elsewhere. Who could challenge here? Andrew Gilbert on a quick lap. Is it quick enough?
There's the McLaren, number 23, being qualified by Michael Birch. Scott Noble's in the JMW Motorsport Ferrari. He's just gone slightly better with a 206.7, so that puts Scott 8th fastest. But the 225.2 does stand for Martin Berry, so he's
got a lap
gone
time.
slightly faster, but he's still, he's at least got a lap time, so he will be able to start the race from 13th position, but it could be a whole lot better than that. 74 is the Kessel entry for Andrew Gilbert.
I'm going to guess here that what we're going to see is him putting a banker lap in and then trying, if he can, with whatever his tyres he's got underneath him, for a final stab at this on the very final lap. Takeshi Kimura, by the way, track limits will not improve on that lap. Neither does Duncan Cameron. He does exactly the same thing, but that was not a flying lap for Duncan.
Waiting for Michael Birch to cross the line. Will that be an improvement? It is marginally. So that's in the McLaren. The Racing Spirit of Le Mans, Aston Martin, is still fastest by 0.3 of a second. Here comes the Corvette down towards the Ferrari S.
Yeah, I think this is the flying lap for Hiroshi Kazumi to finish his effort. Finally, great to see the Corvette in the livery it was intended to start this season.
Matter's gone even faster on his new tyres, 204.6, so he already had pole position. He's now 7/10 of a second clear of Duncan Cameron. So it's an Aston Martin faster than 2 Ferrari 296s And then the Porsche of championship leader Celia Martin in the 85 Iron Dames car. Here she is now at Verrerie. But the 59 Aston Martin with Clément Matter is clear and gone at the top of the shop for the opening qualifying session. 3 more of these to come, but for the prototypes. And who else is perhaps on the verge of improving? That's a better lap from Martin Berry's Mercedes. He's got up to 6th place now with a 206.0 and could squeeze one more out of it. What's the sector time like? 33 seconds. That's not too far away. So it could be even better than 6th place as long as he keeps that Mercedes legal. But that was the issue earlier on, being 5/1000ths of a second clear of his nearest rival. But then eventually that time was stripped because at some point he obviously breached the track limits, and it has resulted in that time not being a legal one. Duncan Cameron, 0.723 of a second away. There's the Andrew Gilbert Ferrari, now dropping to 5th place because of
Castellet Toledo is in this, you know. It's a good lap underway for Castellet Toledo. He's just over half a tenth off pole time in the final sector right now.
Matter could improve again.
He
on
could.
This lap. So I would imagine the pole's potentially gone, but Toledo, who is on the 2nd row, might bag a front row start within GT
Andrew
before
Gilbert,
the end.
4th. Good lap for Andrew Gilbert, the 74 Kessel car. No improvement on his final lap from Clément Mathieu. What can Castellet Toledo do?
Well, he's about to cross the line in the 50. He's going to stay 3rd,
He
but
does
that was
stay
an
3rd.
improvement nevertheless, a 205.4.
So it's the first pole position of this season for an Aston Martin. It's the first pole position since Mugello last year from the same team. Derek de Boer of Mugello last year set his 1 pole position for the season before stepping up to the FIA World Endurance Championship. But that means AMG at Barcelona, followed by Aston Martin here at Le Castellet. It looks like we're doing this alphabetically this year.
Perhaps, yeah. So this was the 3rd place finishing car. Castellet. No, Martin Berry finished 3rd, so that's changed late on as well. Berry crossed the line and bagged himself 3rd position. I knew he'd squeeze an extra lap out of it. I just wasn't sure the tyres were quite up to the challenge.
It's his 3rd sector time, way quicker than anybody else.
And that's not because of any times being deleted ahead of him.
No, it's not. He had a spectacular 3rd sector time, close to purple sector, and that's grabbed him 3 more places right at the death. So from being, I'm sure, utterly despondent, that will have at least helped his humour.
Well, we'd already edited up the top 3, and as we hit play in our truck, then that changed, hence why the graphic didn't quite match the cars, because Toledo shunted down to 4th position. Martin Berry in the Iron Lynx Mercedes gets himself 3rd at the death, and well, Racing Spirit Le Mans crew cannot quite believe the dominance of Clément Matter to be 7/10ths of a second clear. To the right of that frame is Valentin Asclot, and the 3rd driver in the 59, Erwan Bastard, also standing next to Valentin. They look a little bit shell-shocked themselves to see how good Clément Matter was in that session, particularly when they bolted on new Goodyears and he went even faster.
Well, there you go. Great stuff. Clément Matter stepping away from the WC after last season to the LMS and showing he's learned plenty. Well, that's LMGT3 in the books. 13 cars. Neat order now. Session, by the way, ended with Duncan Cameron with purple sectors in the first 2 sectors.
We are opening.
Clément Matter in the 3rd. Martin Berry, I think, will be ruining a bit of track limits in that session, but he's learning all the time and looks still to me to be set fair to be an emerging bronze talent in international sports car racing, and doing it, as so many of our bronze drivers do, with a massive grin on his face. LMP3 next, Johnny. and it's the 10 players in LMP3.
We will open pit
So Racing Spirit of Le Mans, they're no stranger to getting pole positions.
LMP3 qualifying.
Derek de Boer's efforts previously with that team, a 2:04.6 then. 7/10 of a second clear of the Spirit of Race Ferrari, and going strongly into third was the Martin Berry Mercedes, deposing Castellet Toledo's number 50 down to fourth in his Ferrari. But we've not a moment to lose because we're slightly behind schedule, so the track will become live again very shortly indeed for these LMP3 cars, 10 of them, and we'll compare and contrast the qualifying drivers from Barcelona with today's offerings.
10 seconds before you see the green light go, but before that we're going to pop down with Steph, who's hot-footed it to Racing Spirit Le Mans, and I'm sure she's caught up with one of the drivers, and by the look of it, it's Val Hasselclo with Steph Wentworth right now.
I'm joined by Valentin Hasselclo, driver of the number 59 Racing Spirit of Le Mans. A pole position, first one of the year. Great way to start this weekend.
Yeah, that's amazing. We didn't expect it so early in the season, but Clément keeps on improving race after race, I should say, and even session after session. And it's a real teamwork. We've been working hard all together, and it's a very pleasant result.
All right, well, best of luck for the race. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, a look on Valentin's face rather suggested they weren't expecting that. They will take it open-handed, I'm sure, and you can build a very good result from that, starting with your nose clean at the head of the GT pack.
Absolutely. LMP3 cars on track, Johnny, and it is 10-car field, 8 Ligiers, a single Duquesne from WTM by Rinaldi, and the single Ginetta from DKR Engineering. This new Toyota-powered era of LMP3. After the first decade with Nissan V8 power, now it's Toyota Turbo.
The star in Barcelona in LMP3 was Adrian Clomanil, who was almost a quarter of a second clear in his number 17 CLX Motorsport car from Team Virage's Rick Kuhn. Ian Aguilera had a fair shout at qualifying as well in his number 11 Euro International car. If you weren't around for the Barcelona race itself, in LMP3, the win eventually going to, as my page is loading, just bear with me a moment, it was a nip and tuck thing throughout the course of the afternoon, and CLX did come home with the victory. They had the perfect day on Saturday evening with, was it a 1-2 finish in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and then they went on to win in LMP3 and ELMS, so they didn't get the overall in LMP2, but
aside from that,
it was
pretty darn good.
An excellent weekend for the Swiss squad.
It most certainly was. Excellent stuff from them, and racing's very pink. Ligier crosses the line. This is Quentin Antonel in the number 68 car. Ultimates 35 in the hands of Jean-Baptiste Lahaye. Team Virage do have Rick Kern at the wheel of the car. So getting now into fast lappery. Must admit, for me, this Gen 3 iteration of LMP3, like the look of the cars, like the proportions of the cars, a little more squared off in a couple of places. More aggressive look to the front of this Ligier. Visually, particularly a fan of the Ginetta, I have to say. It looks almost like a shrink-wrap version of their LMP1 car.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, there should
big wiggle there under braking.
There was a squirm from Quentin Antonel as he hit the brakes in that number 68, the instantly recognisable M Racing entry this year. No repeat teams in the 10 that are racing in LMP3. So I suppose nobody's therefore got an advantage over another with dual data coming in. And we have the mixture of manufacturers as well, the single Ginetta, the Duquesne offered by WTM, car number 12, and then 8 Ligier JSP 325s.
Indeed. Some established and emerging talents in this session. Mike Ricochet, known to be rapid. Rick Kern, we saw how quick he can be. Ian Aguilera, graduating this season to LMP3 from Ligier European Series last year. Griffin Peoples, watch this young man. Late start to his weekend. I think he was doing exams until yesterday.
Okay.
But he's rapid. He played a big part in the championship winning squad for the Asia Le Mans Series this year, coming in for the UAE races. Guillaume Henrion, we know all about Guillaume. Multiple title winner in the ladder series and came mightily close to doing it again in the European Le Mans Series. Adrien Closemille, Marius Fossard and Rhys Gold.
Again, very sideways, approaching the Verrerie S this time. So
more than edgy, doesn't it?
Quinton Antonell nearly losing the car into both chicanes around the lap. The one on the back straight, the Mistral, and that one heading into turns 1 and 2 at Verrerie.
Despite that, he puts in a time in the early part of this session 5 seconds quicker than anybody else. Now, is that an indication of raw performance? Is that an indication of pushing too hard on the tyres too early? Well, we'll find out as things get a bit deeper. M Racing lead the session with Quintin Antonell from Griffin Peoples in the WTM by Rinaldi Duquesne. That car 2 seconds, 1.8 seconds off the top time. White Brickercheck in the Ginetta is third. So, well, we've got 3 different chassis in the competition, and for a moment we had 3 different chassis in the top 3 positions, right up until 2 more Ligiers completed their run, and they've gone 1-2. Guillaume Henrion tops the session, 1:59.897 for RLRM Sport from M Racing's Quintin Antonell and Adrien Closemille in the CLX Motorsport 17. There you 1, 2, 3.
You have to use your race tyres in these qualifying session, or this qualifying session. In fact, it's 16 individual tyres or 4 sets across the whole weekend in LMP3. So sometimes running in free practice is deliberately limited by the teams just to make sure they've got enough tyre life to get you through 4 hours tomorrow.
Antonell goes quicker and by almost a full second. It's a 1:58.912 now. Up into third, Jean-Baptiste Lahaye. Rick Kern pushes him back 1 position. So it is a Ligier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now. Rhys Gold popping up in the all pink into Europol car. The BWT back car into second place in this session. Timing screen, it's all green or purple. Everybody's improving.
Yeah, just shows you that that's not necessarily silver drivers getting quicker lap after lap. It's just tyre temperature coming into the exact operating window. You've got to just ease your way into these sessions rather than barnstorming it at the start. I think that might have been evidence actually from Quinton Antonell that if you push too hard, then you're going to risk losing the back end of the car on several occasions. This is surely an example of Adrien Clomenil to climb a number of places.
And goes top.
There you go.
Goes top just moments after Griffin Peoples had put his car second and White Brickercheck had put the Ginetta third. They've now shuffled back to 4th and 5th respectively. Guillaume Henrion improves as well. He goes second. So it's CLX Motorsports number 17 car in the hands of Adrien Closemille. A 1:58.141 now, over 0.6 of a second clear of an improved time for the 15 RLRM Sports Ligier of Guillaume Henrion. Quintin Antonell in the M Racing 68 car, the bucking Bronco as it looks, under 0.8 back in third, and still within the same second. Griffin Peoples in the first non-Ligier, that's the now 4th quickest car in the field, WTM by Rinaldi Racing's number 12, Duquesne.
6.5 minutes still to go. There is Antonell going through the first
second.
sequence of corners, and yeah, just prior to us catching sight of him, he's gone second. Rick Kuhn will go third in his Ligier, a quarter of a second slower, but now replace his name with Rhys Gold in the Inter-Europol competition Ligier. We didn't see Rhys qualify the car in Barcelona, but looks to be a good decision from the Polish squad. He's now bagging himself a second row start.
Clobenil putting in a stormer at the moment. He looks set if he gets a clean run in the final sector to improve further. Currently just over a quarter of a second clear of Antonell. 6 minutes remaining. There's time still to go if they've got the tyres underneath them. Griffin Peebles goes second, 45 thousandths of a second back. The WTM by Rinaldi Racing Duquesne man.
Clobenil coming through Virage Dupont at the end of the lap. And can he extend the gap now on Griffin Peebles? It's 45 thousandths of a second. It's now 45 hundredths of a second, rather. So from 45 thousandths to 45 hundredths, timesing the amount by 10 to increase that gap to be much more comfortable for Adrian Clobenil over the Peebles Duquesne.
He's got the feeling of deja vu at the moment from the session in Barcelona for Adrian Clobenil. Everyone's chasing and he had something else in reserve. Seems to have done that again with CLX Motorsport, but what else can anybody else bring to the fight? Griffin Peebles on a good lap here could well be set to reduce the damage, if not overhaul that lap time. It's a purple middle sector for Rick Kern, who has cycled all the way back down from 2nd to 7th. 7 cars within the first second. Clobenil improving. Peebles catching. He's gone purple in the middle sector. Rick Kern goes third. Yeah.
So picking off Antonell. Kuhn in the white, in the yellow, orange and black Team Virage car.
Clobenil is going again. It's going to be Griffin Peebles with track limits on this current lap. He is not going to improve, and it looks to me like Adrian Clobenil is about to put a dagger in the heart of this session. He's almost 4 tenths up after 2 sectors with 2 purple sectors, 4 minutes to go.
Somebody else improving their potential starting position is Ian Aguilera to 4th now for Euro International, to make it a whole load of Ligiers in that top 7 positions. The only interloper is the Duquesne of Griffin Peebles. Adrian Clobenil through the Virage Dupont corner, about to cross the timing line then. And it's a purple, and a purple time to complete the set.
He's a second clear of the field. That's a remarkable qualifying performance. 157.194 from Adrian Clobenil for the number 17 CLX Motorsport Ligier squad. That plays to 158.186 from Griffin Peebles. Improvement in time but not position for the Ginetta, meanwhile. It's the first car outside the singles. Well, it was. I've just looked at the change because of that leap from Adrian Clobenil. To give you an idea of how significant that time was, Johnny, to that point we had 7 of the 10 cars within a single second. We've now got 2.
Yeah, because the huge advantage that swung in the direction of Adrian Clobenil, nearly a second ahead, but then the gaps behind, they all pretty much have a 0 after the decimal point.
He's found over a second in the last 3 laps.
Rick Kuhn to second though, late in the piece. So Rick Kuhn for Team Virage will bag a front row start, and that means that WTM by Rinaldi Racing's Griffin Peebles need to push a bit harder, but he might run out of time because he's not going to do it on this lap.
So 2 minutes and 15 seconds remain. It's maximum of 2 laps left for any of these runners. I'm not sure anybody's got any answers to that. That was a stunning lap from Adrian Clobenil.
Julien Henriot should have a bit more, but at the moment only good enough for 5th position. He's been fighting with Ian Aguilera for most of this session. Quinton Antonell struggling with the car in the opening couple of laps, but then did manage to wrestle that into his control. Wyatt Brikacek does improve, but stays 8th in the Ginetta from DKR. Also, there was a better lap for Marius Fossard.
Trouble for someone at the chicane. Meanwhile, I think that might be the M Racing Ligier.
Yeah, that's the one that's shown as not moving.
And it is not moving, and that's effectively end of session, isn't it? If the yellows remain, no, it's underway. So if he can recover to the track, not sure whether or not there's an opportunity for anybody to improve. Goes through the cones that are laid out for that purpose.
So back into the race. We did not go any more than a local yellow, so anyone else coming onto the Mistral straight will be able to continue at speed. That will include Wyatt Riccardo, who might still have a bit more up his sleeve. There's a very good opening sector on this lap for Quinton Antonel. And then it resulted in the car stopping, so he can disregard that. But Reece Gold, as long as he got through that affected area pretty quickly, are we about to see improvement there? Nothing's going to go better, though, than Adrian Clomeneel, and probably not Rick Kuhn, even though he's 0.9 of a second slower.
No, there you go. 23 seconds to go in this session. We've got a couple of cars that could manage to get across the line and complete one more lap. But no one on track at the moment looks within a country mile of that time. Griffin Peoples, possible improvement on this lap, but it won't be by a second. Checkered flag is out. Waiting to see. Griffin Peoples clearly was not on an improved lap time. He's pitted the car.
So again, a striking effort from Adrian Clomeneel, who was quick in Barcelona, but he was only 0.2 of a second clear of Rick Kuhn on that occasion. So he's almost quadrupled his advantage over the same driver, incidentally, but Rick has only got 67 thousandths of a second of an advantage over the WTM Duquesne. But it's rather disconcerting for everybody else outside of CLX Motorsport, who, well, there's no big grins down there, there's no high-fiving just yet. They will be internally, I'm sure, loving this, because it bodes so well for tomorrow's race.
Reece Gold could improve his time here. It's not going to challenge pole position, but there's still positions to be made on this grid. It's an improved time for him. 2 green sectors at the moment for the inter-Europol competition driver. We'll wait for him to complete his run. Is he going to complete it on track? We'll soon see.
So the celebrations at CLX do begin now as Adrian Clomeneel clambers out of the car. That's 2 from 2 then for this talented bronze. And they'll be high-fiving in the back of the garage just as soon as he finds his teammates Paul Lancher and Theodore Jensen. Sorry, Clomeneel the silver, I should say. Lancher will be the bronze and Theodore Jensen also silver. No mandated regulations to say that the bronze has to do the qualify. You can pick any one of your drivers to get a good starting position. Brief glimpse of Rick Kuhn going through the Verrerie chicane, but here's the star of the moment, Adrian Clomeneel, putting the number 17 car into pole position for the second race running. They'll bag themselves a point towards their championship as well, and they were race winners last time out in Barcelona too, so we'll continue as the championship leaders overnight. And a chance to build their point score very early on in the European Le Mans Series campaign. So it's CLX Motorsport that are top again of Switzerland from the Polish outfit Team Virage, with good work from Rick Kuhn for the second race meeting running. Then the WTM by Rinaldi Racing car third, ahead of Euro International's Ian Aguilera. It was the 15 RLR M Sport car in 5th position. Look at the gap, so very, very small once you get beyond that 1 second that separate first to second. M Racing 68, stopping on the, not quite the slowing down lap, but did get going again in 6th. Fastest ahead of inter-Europol competition, DKR Engineering, Racing Spirit of Le Mans,
exit at 15:13.
Well,
so,
this is a
give you
good
an idea,
moment to
Johnny, you
remind
mentioned
drivers of
the
need to
gaps.
respect track
Discounting
limits.
the
This
lead
is a
gap,
good moment
the gap to pole
remind drivers
position,
of the
the
need
gap
to
for the
respect
rest of the field
track
was
limits.
pretty
And
much
we are
identical
currently
to the
at
gap first to
33
second.
seconds to open pit
That's an
exit.
extraordinary qualifying session from Adrian Clomeneel.
and he's unlikely to start tomorrow's race because Paul Lancher was put in as the starting driver for Barcelona, and it makes much more sense to put your bronze in at the beginning. That is where it's most likely there'll be some incident in the race.
Pit exit
So burn the
opens
bronze
in
time
10,
if you can. Perhaps
9,
whilst there's a full course
8,
yellow out, perhaps
7,
when there's a safety car
6,
out on
5,
track. Just
4,
checking back to
3,
the starting drivers
2,
for last
1.
time out. Yeah, Lancher
LMP2 Pro Am qualifying has started.
The team Virage number 8 was started by Jacek Zielonka, and Fabian Michal plugged into car number 11 for the opening stint. I'm expecting very similar starting drivers tomorrow from midday.
8 LMP2 cars begin to roll out for the LMP2 Pro Am session. This is the class that must include a bronze driver. Has been dominated in qualifying form over the last couple of seasons by this man, Giorgio Roda. Failed to qualify and pole just once last season here in Europe and whitewashed the Asia Le Mans Series, but as yet, I think, to win a race in LMP2, which is remarkable.
Yeah. The pace on Saturday is not always converted into the Sunday result. That's why we go endurance racing. So much can happen over a 4-hour period or longer.
Well, as the cars get up to speed, all Orica chassis, all of course on the Goodyear tyres, new Goodyear slicks for this weekend. And as we see those cars on track, we're, I think, by the look of it, going to go down and see Steph, who's got a guest with it from CLX Motorsport.
With the pole sitter. You guys this season, one at your home race as well, so it must feel amazing.
Yeah, it's so good to be on pole the second time this year. I think it's a good opportunity for us to be one step on top. So yeah, I'm really happy, and tomorrow will be good too.
All right, best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, he is a very confident guy out of the car. I think he knows how good he could potentially be. And the 17 car, who was on the ragged edge at times, but crucially, he kept it within the white lines to score a lap time so much quicker than his fellow silver drivers. So that is rather throwing down the gauntlet to everybody else. But as we said, qualifying on a Saturday, one thing, and then that's the whole reason why we do it over a much longer distance tomorrow. Let's see how it pans out for the team from Switzerland.
Shall we introduce our listeners and viewers to the 8 gentlemen that are out on the track at the moment, and it is all gentlemen. The number 3 Deco Engineering car, all Orica chassis, as I say, Deco Engineering from Luxembourg, in the hands of Greek driver Georgios Kolovos. Algar Pro Racing's number 20 car, the blue and black car, in the hands of another Greek driver, Castellet. Daniel Schneider from Brazil is aboard United Autosport's 21 car, that is the blue, red and white car. Nielsen Racing's number 27 car in the hands of Tony Wells, stepping into LMP2 at the end of last season after years and years of success in LMP3. Rodrigo Sales in the multicoloured 29 TDS Racing car. 77 Proton competition car, which I have to get used to the fact is white, orange and grey this year. Giorgio Roda, as we said a little earlier, with a fantastic qualifying record behind him. The overall winners, and I don't mean class winners, I mean overall winners from last time out in Barcelona, the 83 AF Corsa squad, the Chrome Breton flag car in the hands of multiple Endurance Championship winner Francois Perrodo. And Francois not yet out on track in this session. And then finally, and just back out on track, the AO by TF car, PJ Hyatt for the United States of America, the number 99 car, more popularly known as Spike the LMP2 Dragon. Why? Because it's a purple dragon.
Yeah, which looks like a race car.
Yes.
It's actually a Dragon. So you mentioned they're all being Oricas. That's the one exception. As now across the line, Giorgio Roda will go quick S, but that's the first flying lap that anybody has done, so that was always going to be the way. However, it wouldn't be a big surprise to see Roda topping the times at the end of this 15-minute segment, of which we've had nearly 5 minutes already, so the time really does disappear very rapidly indeed. Fastest laps in Barcelona, topped by Giorgio Roda. He was actually 2 tenths, nearly 2.5 tenths clear of PJ Hyatt 4 weeks ago. So is that sort of measure that we're going to be looking at again? Rodrigo Sales completed the top 3 in qualifying. And Francois Perrodo, the eventual overall winner, began the Barcelona race from 4th place on the grid. There's no wiggle room at all regarding driver selection within this qualifying session, because all the teams must have a bronze. That's what makes them an LMP2 Pro-Am entry. And then it's a mixture of golds and platinums. You can only have a maximum of 1 platinum, though, in your trio.
So, top of the times so far, under 10 minutes to go. It's guess who? Giorgio Roda. And he's in a 1:53.527 and going quicker again this time. We'll keep an eye on those times. The only, of course, we do have times from the free practice sessions, but it's been 8 years since we used this track format for the European Le Mans Series with the chicane on the Mistral. A track layout, whilst it's attracting some online comment from some fans as not something they're enjoying as much, I can tell you the drivers don't agree with any of you. They all think it's absolutely awesome because it gives much more by way of overtaking opportunities, as we've already seen in the Ligier European Series 2 races we've seen so far today, Johnny. It's an improved lap time, by the way, as I speak, from Giorgio Roda. In fact, it's 5 seconds quicker than the next car, Rodrigo Sales.
Good practice for Le Mans as well in this configuration, because there are chicanes on the Mulsanne these days as well, have been for quite a few years. So yes, you've got the top end speed that a lot of these cars are doing, but also that braking opportunity into the relatively slow speed chicane. Of course, a lot of ELMS teams will be going to Le Mans next time out, even though Le Mans isn't a round of the European Le Mans Series. For the World Endurance Championship teams, there was a big twitch, by the way, for Giorgio Roda at the start of this particular lap, which he dealt with superbly well. But yeah, next weekend, which is round 3 of the World Endurance Championship, that's always served as the precursor to Le Mans, because you know, chance to put your low downforce stuff on in the old days of LMP1, because Spa's not a million miles away from straight line speeds from the 24 hours of Le Mans. But here for ELMS, this is the perfect place to go.
Absolutely.
As an alternative, isn't it? If you can't go to Spa because you're not entered in the WC, then why not come here to Le Castellet? That might have been all part of the planning, Greg.
Absolutely. You know, we do see a remarkable number of the teams testing here. I can tell you there's at least one of the ELMS teams with their Le Mans lineup, which differs slightly from the lineup we're going to see this weekend in LMP2. It's testing here for 2 days after this event. That is, we're going to see Frank Pereira aboard the, I've completely forgotten, the VDS Palace car, replacing Charles Malesi, who's on Alpine duties, and I seriously doubt they'll be the only ones.
No, yeah. It's there are 2 good opportunities in the month or so, month and a bit, that we've still got to go to the big race to turn down these chances, either in testing or in a regular race weekend. Here's Kolovos in the number 3 DKR engineering car, currently 3rd fastest, but heading into Virage du Lac now, the penultimate corner.
There's another driver coming to LMP2 relatively recently with a late, I think he replaced Tony Wells actually in the DKR car. Later, or the Virage car later in the season, and put in a couple of cracking performances, but has prospects sticking with this program to really show in this hotly contested bronze field. Make no mistake, these guys may not be ultimately as quick as some of the pro drivers, but they're measuring themselves by a different measure, and that measure is whose backside going to kick in this group of 8, and they do take pleasure in doing so. Francois Perrodo has still not been out in this session.
No, I just spotted that, and that is concerning, because they are the championship leaders in both. Well, if there was an overall championship, they'd be leading that as well. But most crucially, LMP2 Pro-Am, the car's not going to appear because it's got an awful lot of bodywork off that car. There are no wheels on it. It's on the high jacks in the garage with Mathieu Faxivière overlooking the repair work, but they've entirely missed qualifying. It looks as severe, that work taking place, as it might be an engine change.
It's either an engine change. It could even have been a chassis change. I know that one of the cars overnight changed the chassis, but that does look like the engine's been changed to the 83 car. I'll see what I can do to find out.
Okay, well, It's only going to be the 7 cars, therefore, that we see in this session, and as a result, even if they do get permission to start tomorrow's race, I reckon that'll be from the very back of the field. It won't even be the back of the LMP2 Pro-Ams. With no time recorded, you're going to have to overtake all the GTs to start. There is the option to start the race from the pit lane, I suppose. And, I mean, gone are the days now where you immediately go a lap down if you start from the pit lane. You do join at the back of the opening racing lap, but that work is not going to be completed in a hurry. So the next track action for 83, in the best possible world, will be the race tomorrow. No warm-up in a European Le Mans Series race weekend. Down the straight goes PJ Hyatt in the number 99. Up the straight, more pertinently, as he heads into senior corner. Couldn't really hear a lift there from PJ. Now rounding the awkward Double Droite de Beausset. And with some time to give, because PJ was second fastest in the opening qualifying session of the season 4 weeks ago. What can he find in the closing stages? We've only got 4 more minutes to go, but he has improved through sector 1 and 2. And we're seeing improvement elsewhere, actually, for Tony Wells. Rodrigo Sales, as he crossed the line, went second fastest in the number 29 TDS racing car.
Close the gap, still 1.3 seconds though, it's a mighty gap. Seems a little bit deja vu with the LMP3 session, the performance of Adrian Clomenil, but Giorgio Roda can only do as much as he can do. At the moment he's on course to further improve this time. 3.5 minutes to go. Is there any challenge coming from anywhere? Hyatt goes second. He's now 0.295 of a second back from Giorgio Roda,
who's gone even faster. So that's another new fastest lap in this session. 0.3 of a second clear now of the new second place car, PJ Hyatt, as you've said.
Hyatt, though, is almost on provisional pole schedule on his next lap. Pretty much matched the purple time of Giorgio Roda. So is PJ Hyatt going to be the man to put this under pressure? Well, we're going to find out in about 2 minutes.
Well, he's on course, and that first sector was very clean indeed. Looked to have braked at the perfect point into the chicane. Now heading into senior corner, where you've got to be brave.
He's up on pole time, but unfortunately for PJ, Giorgio Roda's up on that by a chunk. Again, all that PJ Hyatt can do is do the best he can on the lap he's got, not worry about what's going on around him, nail the lap. But 0.3 of a second down at the moment on the pole position time. Roda, though, has lost a bit of time in sector 2. This is going to be very close, very, very close.
So Roda kind of needs to improve preemptively, because PJ Hyatt's lap is going to be that good. He's coming out of Virage Dupont now. Where is PJ going to end up?
He goes top.
He goes top. And has Roda crossed the line yet? No, he hasn't. He might be 1,000th of a second quicker, though.
It's unbelievable. It's so close. It's just about 1/10 up. PJ Hyatt and Giorgio Roda out of pretty much nowhere. What can Giorgio Roda do? He's coming out of the final turn now, gets the power in. Is this going to be good enough? We've got 1.5 minutes to go. Who's going to be on pole position? He goes top by 700ths of a second.
I actually thought we were going to get a dead heat there, and PJ Hyatt would have done the time earlier than Roda, but Roda ekes out 700ths of a second more time to secure that position. A right smile from Louis Delatraz, PJ Hyatt's teammate.
But whilst PJ will be kicking himself here, coulda, he's in the fight now for the remainder of the season. And when you've got a kind of qualifying record that Giorgio Roda has got, what you make yourself is a great big target for everybody else. It's a standard that they've got to meet and beat. And it looks closer than ever, doesn't it?
He's even further up, PJ Hyatt. I'm just about to say, the first sector was a personal best. He's gone purple through sector 2. That car is better than the 77 down the long straight here, the Mistral. So what can he do in the final sector? Because I don't think Giorgio Roda's necessarily got an answer this time around.
Well, we're going to see soon enough, because he's going to be not that long through sector 2. That was a bit of a grab of the brakes, I think, for PJ Hyatt. I don't think that was the perfect line. We'll have to wait and see. Giorgio Roda's pretty much matching his time from the last lap to the end of sector 2. Hyatt was over a quarter of a second up.
So did that slight out-braking manoeuvre cost PJ Hyatt? Ultimately, he's going to cross the line now.
Goes pole! 1:51.442. 1.5 tenths up, and that's the reaction for Louis Delatraz.
His timing screens is behind ours, it seems.
And I don't think Giorgio Roda is going to match that time.
I don't think he's got enough time in hand, although he's gone across the line to force another lap out of the session. He's crossed the line, not seen the checkered flag. We're waiting.
Roda has seen the checkered flag. PJ Hyatt is in the pound seats. We'll have to keep on it. Rodrigo Salas, by the way, is on a pretty good lap. Could improve. Don't think he's going to trouble pole position. What a couple of laps from PJ Hyatt.
Absolutely terrific. And Giorgio Roda knew that he had to improve the time. The Roda family are saying, well, we were soundly beaten there, but we love a bit of competition, because in previous seasons, remember, Roda has had it all his own way concerning the poles in LMP2 Pro-Am. And, the Roda's through and through. What a fight. And they're going to get that tomorrow from the AO by TF crew.
Well, AO by TF took the title overall last year with a Pro car that PJ was not involved in. He's switched the allegiance here to LMP2 Pro-Am. He's coming and doing a back-to-back season with IMSA and the ELMS. AO Racing with PJ and with Gunnar Jeanette turning heads in motorsport and sports car racing, winning fans with cars that look the way they do, and increasingly with a GT title in the GTD Pro class in IMSA last year, and now with a very competitive prospect in the European Le Mans Series, not just with cars the way that they look, but cars the way that they go.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well done, PJ Hyatt.
Georgios Kolovos left his best lap of the session very, very late, but he's just gone across the line with a 1:53.0. What I missed was whether he actually improved his position as a result of that, but the DKR Engineering car number 3 will be starting from 4th position behind PJ Hyatt on pole by nearly 1.5 tenths over Giorgio Roda, second, number 77, and Rodrigo Sales in 3rd in the TDS racing car.
And that was despite that. But how much further up could he have been? I mean, I know PJ well enough to know exactly the expression I'm going to see when I see him, and it's going to be a wry smile that means so very much. Well done, sir. Absolutely excellent.
Yeah. There's more time to give, and can he then pump those laps out early in the piece tomorrow when we get going? Well, he's in the prime position to do so in LMP2 Pro-Am, starting from the sharp end, alongside his surely going to be season-long rival for Proton competition, Giorgio Roda, and it's likely that both of those drivers will be in from the start. TDS Racing's Rodrigo Sales will start alongside Georgios Kolovos for DKR Engineering. So TDS and DKR, then Daniel Schneider and Tony Wells for United and Nielsen, as we get some reaction now with Steph.
Yeah, and the reaction down here at the number 99 AOITF is a very positive one. I'm joined by Louis Delatraz. PJ did an incredible job to put it on pole position and to set you up really well for the race tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he did a great lap. He was pushing hard. We've been working towards it the whole weekend, and he's been fast from lap 1. So we're all super proud, and for sure gives us the best spot tomorrow to fight for the win.
And you were in LMP2, back in LMP2 Pro-Am now. It's really quite a competitive category. What can you expect in the race tomorrow?
LMP2 Pro-Am is so strong, so many good drivers as well in the Pro. It's fantastic to see such a grid in LMS. And I mean, of course, we look at the Pro-Am win, but like Barcelona, we were on for fighting an overall podium, I think. But sadly, we had a technical issue, but the plan will be the same this weekend. Try to win the Pro-Am, but also try to fight for something overall.
All right, best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Saw last time out, didn't we? A well-run effort in LMP2 Pro-Am can contest, and he's done all he can possibly do to give them the best possible chance. We move on, Johnny. This one seems to have skipped by 13 LMP2 cars. Next, this time, it's the LMP2 class proper, without the bronze drivers, so these will be pro drivers at the wheel of these 13 highly capable Oreca 07s with the sonorous Gibson V8.
And perhaps a surprise pole position last time out for Richard de Geras, up against so many either current or ex-factory drivers, maybe future factory drivers, you never know. But we've also got stars from the single-seater world as well, no less the 2023 FIA Formula 2 champion, Théo Pourchaire, who drives for Algarve Pro Racing. So
yes,
surely he'll be put in for qualifying. But, Graham?
So this car, the number 28 car, if my sources are correct, has had a chassis change overnight.
Ooh.
Not because there was any particular... There was something about the performance of the car they couldn't understand. It was running through testing on a brand new chassis. They've opted to take that one to one side, take a good look at it, put a proven race chassis on the car. So great work by the EDEC Sport guys. While we were there drinking their beer last night, they were there rebuilding a car. What an impressive place they've got just over the back fence.
As we discovered, it's thankfully not too far away for EDEC to go, because they're pretty new headquarters. You reckon a couple of years old?
Yeah.
It's a short drive away. In fact, I mean, you could walk it about 2 minutes from our hotel, as it turns out. Family Lafargue are here in force.
Absolutely.
Are we looking at a future Lafargue?
100%.
For obviously we're looking at future Lafargue. In fact, a current Lafargue, a future star in motor racing Lafargue.
Three generations of Lafargue, I think, bound for possibly Classic Le Mans or Le Mans proper, who knows.
Yeah.
But proud family, and from what we saw yesterday, Johnny, completely correct to be proud about the standard of what they're bringing to this sport. And what, by the way, they're assisting with the Genesis Magma Racing effort. It was good to see Cyril Abiteboul there yesterday evening. You'll hear and read more about that in the coming days. And we'll get to see their new factory this time next year.
I was also hearing from Christoph, who was looking after the sign-in sheet as we all arrived yesterday for the welcome party and for future news on EDEC, and he was standing next to one of the model yachts that EDEC Sport are also hugely competitive in, because he was saying that the record for the Jules Verne Trophy had been broken recently. That is a sailing contest from Brest to the South Pole and back again, and EDEC managed that in 40 days and something like 23 hours, smashing the previous record of 48 days. They're not only good in sports car racing, but they're good on water as well.
I'd like to see one of those yachtsmen in an LMP2 car, but not particularly for that reason, only because I'd like to see Yacht Verute on a yacht.
If he has a good Le Mans, I think your wish would be granted. But not that kind of yacht.
Away we go for the final qualifying session of the day. It is LMP2. Let's tell you which are the stars, and there's lots of them out there at the moment. I'm linked to Proton's number 9 car in the hands of Matteo Caroli, a recently ex-Lamborghini factory driver. Pietro Fittipaldi, with all sorts of wonderfulness on his CV already, adds a run in the number 10 Vector Sport car this afternoon to that. United Autosports are Ben Hanley, long-time star in LMP2, an ex-IndyCar driver. Matthias Jobert is trusted with the 18 EDEC Sport car. He's the youngster, but my gosh, that boy has got some talent in the number 18 car. That's the orange and black car in the colours of Genesis Magma Racing. Current Alpine factory driver Ferdy Habsburg is in Nielsen Racing's 24. 25 Algarve Pro Racing, you mentioned Théo Pourchaire, reigning Formula 2 champion. There he is. Paul Chatan, another Alpine factory driver, is in the 28 from EDEC Sports. Duquesne Teams 30 in the hands of Barcelona pole setter Richard de Geras. Luca Giotto, with F2 race wins on his CV, is with into Europol competitions 34. TLX Pure Racing's Tom Blomqvist is factory driver in multiple cars in GTP in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. He's in the 37 car. 43, Nick Yellerly has just stepped out of BMW into Cadillac for 2025. 47 from CLX, Enzo Fittipaldi, brothers in arms here across the LMP2 waves in the 47 CLX. And then a third Alpine factory driver, Sharma Lacey, in the VDS Palace number 48. That completes the lineup. 13 cars, 13 mega teams and 13 mega drivers.
So it was an unusual result in Barcelona, but LMP2 was won by the EDEX Sport trio of Jamie Chadwick, Mathis Jobert and Danny Juncadea. The first time ever there's been a female racer in an LMP2 winning car. We've had them on the podium in the past. Second place went to the 48 VDS Panis Racing crew of Ollie Gray, Charmy Lacey and Esteban Masson. And third place to Vector Sport, just about one of their best results to date. So the 10 car could definitely be in contention if they can get a few good other podiums through the course of the year.
But as we said, it was an LMP2 Pro-Am car that took the overall race win, just because of the way that the race came to us in terms of when we were green and when we were on the caution, but not least, just how quick those cars were.
Yeah, and it's the same machinery at the end of the day. So if you can get a bronze shift done and then maybe a safety car which will bunch all the field up again. And remember, in Barcelona, we had that American-style green-white checker to the finish too.
We did.
Where we didn't think it was actually going to finish under green flag conditions, but we squeezed 2 racing laps out of it. And that gave the opportunity for Mathieu Vaxivière on a new set of tyres, or at least newer. It might have only been 2 tyres that they bolted on, but they made all the difference at AF Corsa.
So we're still waiting for fast laps to come through. Plenty of in fact, all of the cars have been in for tyre change in the first 4 minutes of this session. We're about to get to the stage where we start to see rapid times emerging. First through, Théo Pourchaire in the Alcar Pro Racing number 25 car, 1:57.650. Time to come yet, where Teixeiras completes the first flying lap. A difficult one to call. There is not a weak driver amongst this lot.
So Jobert out of, still trying to warm those tyres, heading out of Bandor corner and into Garlabat. Now some company, they deliberately released this car a lot later than all the others, just to try and keep it out of the traffic, with 13 cars on a 5.8 kilometre circuit.
Yep.
There is some space here and there.
To the top of timing and scoring, Mathis Jobert in the number 18 EDEX Sport car. It's the car we've just been on board with. It's a 1:56.393. I'm sure will not be our pole time, but it's Mathis' first offer. Watch out for this name in the future. He's another one of those young drivers in the LMP car. He's suddenly found a very neat niche, and EDEX Sport think the absolute world of him.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. He had an amazing, particularly qualifying session at Dubai 24 hours. That was behind the wheel of a Porsche Cup car. And strangely, the LMP2 winners in Barcelona, none of them had raced LMP2 prior to that weekend.
Yep.
Juncadea comes from a GT background and DTM. I mean, highly successful GT racer all around the world. Jamie Chadwick from single seaters, although she's raced sports cars before, GTs in the UK, and also the Nürburgring Nordschleife, been a class winner, in fact, in an Aston Martin in the past. And then you've got Mathis Jobert, who's come from the Porsche one-mate background, but they've all found their feet in LMP2.
Now, all of a sudden, we get into a competitive lap time. It's Théo Pourchaire the first. He's 6 seconds quicker than Mathis Jobert at the moment. It's a 1:50.350. That's the gauntlet been thrown down. Now we wait and see.
Yeah, and again, got to get representative times from all the runners. We're a long way short of that at the moment. And half the field, over half the field, have not yet set any times. Matteo Cairoli had a front row start 4 weeks ago, so the 9 car could certainly make its impact. A number of cars have already made stops, in fact, over
all of them.
Half the field.
All of them have stopped.
No, Jobert's not done, Pourchaire's not done, but we have had 2, 3, 6, 7 of them in. I think that's scrubbing tyres in readiness for maybe an opening stint tomorrow, in truth. Ben Hanley goes third, Jobert to the top with a 1:53.6. That's 4 seconds faster. Pourchaire lost a lap, okay.
Yeah.
So 4 seconds clear, but we've not really had a meaningful lap yet from the Frenchman. Charmy Lacey over the line.
Still not a representative time there either. All just tippy-toeing into the operating window for these new Goodyears.
And now in will come Pourchaire, so that's his pit stop being done. Not that you've got to do one, but it feels like maybe everyone will make at least one trip down the pit lane.
So 1:53.666 from Jobert tops the times, but right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 of the runners are currently on laps on schedule to beat that time.
Jobert to Fittipaldi, half a second. As now De Giras, the star in Barcelona, goes to the top. He's another 4 seconds clear of Mathis Jobert, 1:49.7.
Yeah, first under 150. So that's a good time, and that is the gauntlet thrown down. But immediately it's beaten by Nick Yellerly in the Inter-Europol number 43 car. He's gone through in a 1:49.1. Luca Giotto goes through in a 1:50, pretty much dead, to go third. These are now the representative times. But still there are drivers down the order on schedule to beat them. Jobert goes second, he's in the 1:49s as well, as is Paul Chatin. Under 0.6 of a second between the top 4. Ferdy Habsburg goes through in a 1:52, that's not going to be good enough. Watching for Charles Malaysia, he's on a cracking lap right now, as is Matteo Caroli. He goes second.
Just as he did for the opening qualifying batch 4 weeks ago, but it's a different car alongside him.
And Malaysia goes third. So it's 1:49.1, 1:49.3, 1:49.3, 1:49.6, 1:49.7, 1:49.7. That right there, your top 6, separated by under 0.6 of a second.
So Yellerly fastest, Cairoli second fastest, Milesi, Jobert, De Giras and Paul-Luc Chatin. A great mixture of teams as well. The 2 EDEC Sport cars are in there though, in the form of Jobert number 18 4th, Chatin 28 in 6th place.
Yeah, looks to me like Nick Yellerly might well be in the midst of a heartbreaker lap for the remainder of this field. I think this is going to be well into the 48s if he can carry this lap through. He's on screen now in the 43 Inter-Europol competition car. He's already 0.160 of a second up, 0.3 up after the second sector on his own time. What can he achieve here? 1:49.174 becomes no improvement.
Yeah.
So a poor third sector, and that might leave the door open for Mathis Jobert.
Should do.
He's on the final sector. He's 0.4 up on the provisional pole time.
So purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2. We're waiting for him to complete the set here. Here comes Mathis Jobert. He will go second.
So has the pace gone out of that third sector? 32 thousandths down on Nick Yellerly. 1:49.174 plays 1:49.206. Charles Malaysia on a flyer right now. Enzo Fittipaldi on a flyer right now.
Not sure whether across the board the pace has gone from the third sector, because that was actually Jobert's best effort in that final portion of the lap.
Very strange.
But it's Yellerly's 45.5 that he was able to set earlier on. That's massively ahead of anybody else. And there was a 45.6 that was done by Cairoli.
Wow. So that's where the time is to be gained.
Yeah.
It's nailing that really technical third sector.
Unless, I mean, the sun is now bursting down onto the track, so that little bit more of UV, perhaps through the final sector, might have just taken the very edge of it away.
Still cars well in the window. Matteo Caroli goes through sector 1 with a purple sector. Luca Giotto currently 8th, but he's up on pole time by a few thousandths, but needs to nail that final sector. Also up on the pole time, Charles Malaysia by 4 thousandths a second after sector 1. Chatin, there's so many of these cars in the window, but can they nail it?
Enzo Fittipaldi has improved the last few laps, in actual fact. So Enzo now up as high as 7th for CLX.
Cairoli is on an absolute fly. He's half a second up on provisional pole time. 2 sectors in the books at the moment.
Milesi's going to improve on the Yellerly time on this current course. And Paul-Luc Chatin's not going to be a million miles away from it either. However, Cairoli could be about to knock the Yellowly time into a different stratosphere here.
So Cairoli has got space. He's got no traffic that's going to trouble him. He's coming through turn 14, down towards the final turn. The 22 car is just ahead of him, but I don't think it's certainly not going to impede him. It's the run to the line. He's on a 149.334. 149.174 is the target. He goes through with a 149.009. 0.165 of a second up on Nick Yellowly. So Cairoli from Yellowly, from Jobert, from Malaysia.
I think that could have been an even better lap from Cairoli. He wormed his way over the curb. It was by far not the cleanest exit out of Virage du Pont, but he did enough.
And
now he's straight-lined Virage du L'Hôtel. But that's okay, because this lap doesn't have to be legal. It was all about the previous one, and we aren't getting any indication that that's going to be taken away from him. It's a 149.009.
Yeah.
Will anybody dip into the 148s by the end of this?
Yellowly just puts in a purple middle sector, but he's a couple of tenths off. But we know how quick he is in the final sector. That's within reach.
True.
On the pace that he showed in the final sector. Similar story, although 500ths down on Yellowly's current pace for Matthias Jobert. He's in range of this, and so too is Tom Blomqvist, going on strong at the end of this session. He's currently 6th quickest from CLX Pure Racing, but he's just a 10th off pole pace at the end of the first sector.
Here's the answer to Nick Yellowly's speed. It's not going to be enough to leapfrog Matteo Cairoli, still second for the Brit, although he did shave a bit more time off it. 149.1. Matthias Jobert over the line, remaining in 3rd position.
Yeah, no improvement from Jobert. We're at 27 seconds from the end of this session. I'm not sure Cairoli's going to get another lap in here.
Cairoli is going to get a lap deleted, but it's this one.
Yes.
Because he, as we observed at the time, straight lines the route between Virage de l'Hôtel and Virage du Camp.
Yellowly goes purple in sector 1. 6 seconds to go, and I think the number 9 car is going to come in and be a sitting duck here. Quicker than Yellowly, Matthias Jobert. So these two could challenge pole position at the very last lap. Who else is in the mix here? Tom Blomqvist does improve. He moves up to 6th place, but is not in contention on that lap for pole position. Still up on the pole time after sector 2 is Nick Yellowly, and there's 1,000th of a second of difference between the pace of the two men challenging this. Jobert drops time in the 2nd sector. Also in the mix, Charles Malaysia within a 10th of pole position schedule after sector 1. Could all change on the line here, Johnny.
Well, Yellowly's still on it. Jobert may well have backed off. He's lost too much time in that middle sector, so it's all about the speed of the yellow-nosed 43 from inter-Europol competition. Can Nick Yellowly bag pole position? He can at the final opportunity. As he sees the checkered flag, he gets to the other side of the front row. Pole position for Nick Yellowly, and nips the Matteo Cairoli time in the bud at the very final opportunity. I don't think anyone else is going to pressurise, because Jobert is going to either pit or cross the line. Yeah, he is slower than he was earlier on, so Jobert will stay in 3rd position, and Cairoli missing out again, just as he did in Barcelona. That on that occasion was to a different car, but we know every time, so far, every venue we've been to, the number 9 car is quick, just not quick enough. And Nick Yellowly, again, a star from GT Racing, has made that jump across to LMP2 competition expertly well. Charles Malaysia over the line. Where does that put Charles? 2nd fastest.
Wow.
So Cairoli misses out on another position. Charles Malaysia for VDS Panis Racing, bagging a front row start and missing out on the pole by 0.235 of a second.
I'm going to check this. I'll say it out loud just the once. That may be Inter-Europol competition's first ever ELMS pole position in for the overall pole.
Yeah.
I think that may be correct.
Well, they had a couple of strong cars last year, but
never
maybe
set pole
no
position.
poles.
They
Okay.
didn't set pole. No.
Well, I would have probably lost money on that if you'd asked me to guess.
That's a cracking battle for pole position between 4 drivers and others that were just shaded at the end there. But boy, oh boy, 0.842 of a second separates the top 8 in that session. Just over a quarter of a second separates the top 3, half a second the top 4. LMP2 Racing just delivers, it just does.
0.2 of a second, then 33 thousandths of a second, nearly 0.2 of a second, the next interval between Cairoli and Matisse Jobert. And to be honest, Mathieu and Matisse, Cairoli and Jobert really didn't do much wrong in that session, but they'll find themselves as the starters on the second row rather than on the front, because Nick Yellerly in number 43, not put in for qualifying duties in Barcelona. That instead went the way of Tom Dillman, but both Dillman and Yellerly are so evenly matched, they may well just draw lots, in truth. It'll be Kuba Śmiechowski, no doubt, to start that car tomorrow at midday. 1:48.7, the offering then from the West Midlander, alongside VDS Panis Racing's Charles Milesi of France, leaving it even later to do a 1:48.9 and get second row start ahead of Matteo Cairoli, who's bumped back to the second row and third position. Matisse Jobert as the championship leader in LMP2 to start ahead of Luca Giotto's Inter-Europol competition sister car number 34, Tom Blomqvist 37 for CLX Pure Racing. Then the first of the EDEX Sport cars, second of the EDEX Sport cars, number 28, 7th ahead of Duquesne's, offering Richard de Giras from pole position in Barcelona to 8th place, and that is how tight things can be. Enzo and Pietro Fittipaldi, Enzo in car 47, 9th, Pietro Fittipaldi in car 10 to start from 10th position. As we cycle through the rest of the positions on our graphic, the 17 car getting pole position in LMP3, and the 59 Aston will start from pole in GT. Let's head straight to Steph.
Finally, last but not least, I have Tom Dillman, driver of the number 43 Inter-Europol competition. Nick has just put it on pole. Fabulous start to your weekend.
Yeah, great job by the team and Nick. We have been working quite a bit on qualifying, which was one weakness from last year for us, and it really pays off now. So yeah, great job by the team. Nick for his first qualifying, putting it on pole, and the car feels really good in the race pace as well. So we are in a good place.
All right, best of luck. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Well, regardless of who goes in that car, it's looking swift at this point in the weekend, and now they need to get a good result tomorrow to make all of that hard work pay off.
Indeed, we think a first ever pole position overall in the European Le Mans Series. Great qualifying for LMP2.
Great qualifying across the board, in truth, and these sessions, even though they each take 15 minutes, it feels like about 3 or 4 because of the action being hurled at us at such a pace. The race tomorrow is midday. We're going to start slightly earlier with our build-up, so join us local time 11:35 for all of the pre-race action. Bye for now.